Hello and welcome. I will be showing you today how to create and use your own first aid kit. This first aid kit can be used in any situation, any emergency, and it is always good to have on hand in-house or if you're traveling. I will also be explaining I will also be explaining how each item is used and what it is used for. You want to make sure you have cotton balls, Q-tips, and gauze pads used for bleeding control, applying things like calamine lotion, Neosporin, blister control, and care. You want to also make sure that you have ready to use small garbage bags that can be used for things like protecting your hands like a glove as a biohazard bag, holding an amputated part, covering a sucking chest wound, or ice bag, or to collect vomit or personal items. You want to make sure that these bags are small enough to fit into your first aid kit. Next up are gloves. You need a pair of gloves or a pack of gloves to cover and protect your hands from blood and hazardous materials. Next up is antibacterial soap, which can be used to wash the infected areas of the wounds. You also want to make sure you have things like hydrocortisone, 1%, nothing less, and also anti-itch cream. These things are used for itching and irritation. These are stronger than calamine lotion and are used for rashes. You don't want to put them over large areas. Next up is triple antibiotic ointment, used to keep the infected area clean and sterile. You want to make sure you have at least 2 tubes of this in your first aid kit. The next thing you will need is chapstick or Vaseline, good for forming a protective barrier over wounds and incisions. Next up is Halls, great for soothing throat irritation. Next up, we have Ace bandages. They're good for sprains, splint ties, compression bandage. You wrap towards the heart for core snake bites. It also holds ice packs on an injury. You don't want to wrap these too tight. You want to allow for adequate blood flow. Next, we have assorted bandages. You want to make sure that you have different types and shapes of bandages that can be able to adequately cover the incisions. You don't want to place bandages over wounds. They're used for small things, small cuts and abrasions. Next up is our sterile gauze. Sterile gauze can be used over wounds and control bleeding. It also can be used to clean wounds, blister care, and apply calamine lotion or neosporin. It is also good for packing the nose to control the bleeding and to cover over eye avulsions. You also can use this to remove non-abrasive objects in the eye and to moisten the lips. Next in our box we have Advil, Benadryl, Tylenol, and Motrin. Benadryl is great for allergic reactions. Tylenol, Advil, and Motrin are great for alleviating and managing pain. Next up are our alcohol pads. Our alcohol pads are very important to create clean and sterile environments. You want to make sure you have enough alcohol pads for any given situation. Next up, we have rolled up or sterile gauze. You want to make sure that you have non-sterile and sterile. They're great for controlling the bleeding. Cover use with antibiotic or wound to bandage and prevent infection. Moisten and cover a vole's eye, protruding organs. Moisten the tip to remove objects in eye. You can roll them up and pack them in nostrils for nosebleeds. They're also great for burns. You want to make sure that you place them lightly over the burns or the wounds and not too tight. Next, we have sanitary pads for emergency uses. We also have antacid Tums to help with stomach relief, gas, and bloating. And we also have assorted tweezers that can be used to remove small items from a wound, remove splinters or ticks. Do not remove things in the nose, ear, throat, or break off tick body from the head. We also have a lighter, great for assorted things and can be used as a backup light source. Next up, we have eye drops, which is good for eye irritation and washing away debris that's in the eye. Next up on our list is steri strips, great for holding things together like deep incisions, wounds, and scars. Next up is our hot and cold medicated patch. They're good for soothing any type of bruising, aches, and pains. Next up, we have our sterile needle, safety pin, and paper clip, which is good for popping blisters, taking out splints. Remember to have each of them sterile. Next, we have our index cards, which are good for writing down the victim's information, emergency contact, and also good for the spot test, the dark spot test, which lets you know if a plant is poisonous or not. Be sure to write clear and legible so that the person can understand your writing. Next up is our chemical ice pack. Used to slow bleeding, slow swelling, reduce pain, it numbs the site, it reduces body temperature in case of a heat stroke. It could be applied under the armpits, groin, neck, wrist. It also relieves stinging from insects, ant bites, spider bites, bees, wasps. It keeps amputated body parts cool. Next is our sugar source, good for hypoglycemia, which is also known as low blood sugar. It is good for diabetics. If you are unsure whether the diabetic patient blood sugar are low or high, this is still great because it has very low sugar in it, so it won't spike the blood sugar levels. Next, we have our surgical tape, used with the aid of treatment and bandaging. We also have our KN95 mask. It is used to help us against hazardous particles in the air, especially now with COVID at its all-time high. You want to make sure you have a couple of these inside your first aid kit. And there you have it. Your first aid kit box is complete. Thank you for watching.